What is going on, Pats Nation? It's your boy Colby, also known as Patriots Global, back here with another one here with a Rob from House Call. I'll make sure to put those little things on so you guys can recognize who we are and what our names are. Here to talk about another post-game breakdown. I know nobody wants to hear about this anymore. Everybody's on to the offseason, but we got to know what's going on with this team. Whether you're interested in this team now or you're interested in this team in 2025, 2026 in the long run, you're going to want to know the tendencies of this team, where they're good, where they're bad, who is shining, who's looking rough, who could be on their way in and who could be on their way out. That's why these post games are still so important, no matter how you feel about the New England Patriots. But New England falling short here in week 5, yet again, another game in which they're just disappointing us tremendously. Say what you want about last week, week 4 against the Niners. We all thought that they were going to lose. That one really didn't matter. This is a one that they should have won. I mean, this is against a third-string quarterback, Tyler Huntley, his second game starting for the Miami Dolphins. He's only been there for a few weeks. You're at home. Mike McDaniels has called terrible games so far in 2024, and you're not able to get the dub. You're not able to get the dub when you have the Houston Texans right around the corner from you. This is one of the easiest games you're going to play all season long, and you still were not able to win this game. We have so much to get into. As always, this video is brought to you by BetUS. We'll talk to you a little bit later how you can get an exclusive limited time offer from them to have a little bit of extra fun this football season. And as Patriots fans, we could use a little bit of extra fun this season because our team's not giving us any fun. Rob, how you doing, buddy? Yeah. Yep.
I am I have I don't know how to. Thankfully, I'm doing this after my live that I did on Instagram, because if you got that version of saying expletives that came out of my mouth was unhealthy. I won't be doing that here. However, you will get the emotion from me.
I was on Bleacher Report showing my emotions. I was like, if anything, this is where I should be professional. And I was like, I can't, bro. Like, I'm just too sad. I got so much to rant about. But shout out to my boy Damon coming in here with a $2 donation, a Dolphins fan saying, good games, man. One ugly ass game, 100%. I mean, shout out to Dolphins fans for showing love. Y'all could be trolling. Y'all could be doing your thing, just like Jets fans did. But y'all are coming here showing love, showing respect. Massive shout outs to the Dolphins and shout out to the Dolphins fans. You know, y'all deserve it.
Thank you for showing up and actually being respectful.
Yeah, everyone who's here right now, whether you're a Dolphins fan or not, shout out to you guys for showing up, showing some love. We really appreciate you. And yeah, if you're a Dolphins fan, rightfully won, rightfully deserved. And hopefully, if you're a Dolphins fan, this is something that gets you guys back on track, because, you know, you guys
wait 1 second. Rightfully deserved. I don't know about rightfully won. I won't go that far.
It was back and forth. You could say either one, but I'm gonna take the high ground, and I'm gonna say rightfully deserved.
What is a touchdown anymore?
We'll get into that, Rob, because I actually have the rule book, the definition. So we will talk about that touchdown, whatever you want to call it, from Jalen Polk a little bit later on. Shout out to my boy Isaiah with a $10 donation. Isa, am I saying that right? Isa? Let me know if I'm butchering your name. I really suck with names. Ask Rob. I used to call him Barb.
Well, it's Isaiah.
It's Isaiah? Probably. No, I'm gonna call you my brother. I'm gonna call you my brother because you're showing love to the channel. You're donating to the channel. You have back-to-back $10 donations, brother. I appreciate you so much. We're not even on like a first name basis. It's just me and you, brother. That's what I am. Me and you. We're brothers for life. I appreciate you, buddy. A $10 donation. You said refs screwed us on Polk's play touchdown. Don't worry, buddy. We are going to get to that in the stream. We're going to break it down. We're going to break down what the rules are, and we're kind of going to share our thoughts. Make sure you guys start ranting in the chat section. What do you guys think it was? Take your guesses now. Did you think it was a touchdown? Did you think that it wasn't a touchdown? Make sure you guys let us know in the comment section right now. But before we do hop into the rest of this, if you are pro tank for the Patriots, if you are oh, we suck. The season sucks. Give me the off season. I want the first overall pick. This was a good day for you. This was a good day for you. Now, these are the current standings. Let's keep in mind 4 o'clock slates. They need to be finished. Let's keep in mind teams started bye weeks this week. You have games tonight. You have games tomorrow. What will this look like depending on how those games go? We still have to see. Heading into this game, the Miami Dolphins, they held the second overall pick. That now goes to the Bengals. Patriots had the third. Right now, after these games, the Patriots currently hold the first overall pick right now in the 2025 NFL draft. Rob, what are your thoughts on this whole tank?
Oh, no. We did that last year. I'm sorry, respectfully. I want to win games. You want to build a culture. You want to build something. We can still get Will Campbell any part of this draft. We don't need a tank. We're just naturally a bad team. I'm sorry. You're trying to set this team up for the future. And what I mean by the future, I mean just mentally. It's not just about just getting picks. There's got to be something to look forward to. And by tanking, all you're doing is setting yourself up for just a negative. I'm not for it. We did it last year for our quarterback. I was for it then. I am not for it now. I want to win as many games as possible. Yes, it would be nice to have the first overall pick and trade it back, but at what expense? At the expense of possibly losing the locker room, at expense of possibly losing players because they've just been mentally strained to the furthest capacity. I don't want this crap again.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same wavelength here as you are, Rob. I don't believe in tanking because of the implications that it's going to have. You don't want losing, as you've heard it. You don't want losing to become habitual. You don't want it to become a regular thing that kind of becomes your mindset. As soon as things don't go your way, as soon as you're not winning all the games you want, as soon as you take a single loss, it's just tank. That's not the mindset that you want to be in. Like you said, Rob, at some point, it's going to affect the locker room. You're going to lose the locker room, and it's going to affect the teams that actually want to come here and the teams that actually want to play for you. The only real reason to, and I quote, tank, which I do still think is stupid, is for a quarterback, your franchise quarterback. Patriots already did that. By the way, they didn't tank for Drake Maye. They just sucked. That's all. They just sucked. And they still got him.
I think the biggest thing is, man, last year you had a reason to go for it. Here you don't. And my biggest, this exaggerated or not, probably the Patriots went and slapped Evan's hand. Hey, listen, can you please try to take this back or whatever? Whether it was exaggerated in a little bit or not, that's concerning that we're losing the locker room. These are players that have been not Derrick Henry. I wish we had Derrick Henry. Hunter Henry, Jabril Peppers, Dylan Polk we've heard about being. Doug, to be a common theme for this team. We need to win games. Something that, look at what happened after week 1 when we won. You could see life in this team. I don't want to go into next season and make this a trend. No. Win as many games as you possibly can this year. I don't care if it's for just my own moral compass or anything else. It just doesn't make sense to tank.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what I said before too, right? Like, you don't want to tank just to get the best player available. That's great and all, but no player is ever guaranteed in the draft. You could have a terrible season to where you didn't get to enjoy watching football, and then you could just suck. I mean, look at when the Panthers, they traded up for Bryce Young. He was the first overall pick, and he didn't work out, right? You shouldn't necessarily want a higher pick just for a better player because that's not what's guaranteed. You should want your team to be able to draft and develop, no matter where they are picking, no matter where in the draft they are, no matter who the player is, their ability to figure out which players are good and which players are bad, take the right guys, and then develop them no matter where they are. I think too many people think about real NFL football the way that they think about Madden. In Madden, nothing's guaranteed still, but the higher the draft pick, the more likely it is you're going to come out with this star player. This isn't Madden. This is real life. It all comes down to how your team can scout, select, and develop. I understand this philosophy on, well, if the Patriots have the first overall pick, they can trade down and get a haul. The Patriots are going to have a top 10 pick guaranteed, probably even top 5, I would say at this point. I'm about to say top 5 is a lock for this team at this point.
It's almost a lock at this point, but there's a lot of
able to trade down.
Like Cincinnati, I'm looking at, that's not a 1-4 team. Jacksonville, yeah, that's a 1-4 team. Carolina, believe it or not, I don't think is a 1-4 team, but we are respect. Even at times, I think we were a 1-4 team. But look, look at the side column on the far right. We've lost 4 games in a row. Actually, if you go back to last season, there's a stat. I'm curious. Let me see. Actually, let me bring up this stat. They actually screenshot it. This is we're on the longest home game when losing. She lost 7 games in a row, and that's their longest streak for over the last 30 years.
You know what's funny too, Rob, is like you look at it, the Patriots have lost 4 straight in a row. Who is the team that they've been comped to for the entire offseason? The Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have lost 3 in a row now. They look like a terrible team too.
Yeah, but they have talent. I mean, we got to see them basically on a team today when they were trying to go for it on 4th down. Stefanski wanted to go for it, and basically Sean Watson watched the start on the sideline. I think that we don't have a team full of quitters. They just want to win games. And that the Browns quit. At least we don't.
Yeah. Well, look, at the end of the day, like I said, whether the Patriots have the first pick, whether the Patriots have a top 3 pick or a top 5 pick, they can still trade down. They can get a haul of picks. Okay, you don't need to just have the first pick in order to acquire draft capital by trading down. Yes, the higher pick you have, the more capital you're probably going to be projected to have that you're probably going to end up getting. But at the end of the day, you don't want to lose games based off of, hey, maybe those draft picks can turn into something. Because the last thing you want is, let's say you are the worst team and you tank in order to have the first overall pick. You get the first overall pick, you get 3 draft picks. Those 3 draft picks end up becoming busts. Now you lost for absolutely no reason. Nothing is guaranteed. Win at all costs. There are avenues to be able to bounce around and still find ways to be successful and make trades and make moves. I never believe in tanking, and I never believe in purposely losing games. You already have the quarterback. They're not purposely going to continue to try to lose games.
The problem is we're at a deficit because and we're at a when ages and not putting good. There's not a good obviously. The free agent, other than us, going to overpay for free. Is it going to give anybody any reason to come here? Because you're going to have to pay taxes. So there's that.
Yeah, guys, but before we get on to start breaking this game down and break down what we saw, I do want to give a massive shout out over to our buddies over at BetUS. Right now, when you guys sign up with their website or you use their mobile app, it takes less than 60 seconds. You guys can get a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125 on your next 2 deposits, all the way up to $2,000. Again, that's 150 on your first deposit, 125 on your next 2, all the way up to $2,000 when you use that promo code YouTube 150 when you guys sign up. Like you see on the screen, YouTube 150. BetUS has the fastest payouts in the industry. They have a 200% crypto deposit bonus, fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, live wagering on all major games, best betting variety in the business. You can even get a 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year, and BetUS can give you your very own personalized account manager. Right now, again, if you guys use this limited time offer, you will get a deal on your first 3 deposits when you sign up right now and use that code. I use BetUS. Every single one of your favorite NFL YouTubers, they use BetUS, and they use them for a reason. If somebody you know or love has a problem, please reach out and get the help that you need. In fact, if you go to BetUS's website, they have a section dedicated in helping you get that help if somebody you know or you love, or even if it is yourself, is dealing with an issue. We talk about these lines all the time on the channel. We talk about my favorite lines on my community tab. So if you want to follow me and having some extra fun this football season, go ahead and check out BetUS. But Rob, I think you are cutting out from what the chat is saying, but we'll get into these super chats real quick. We'll get into Patriots 92 here, comes in with a $5 donation, says, watching Brissett play quarterback is a crime. I feel bad for the locker room. Yeah, I mean, it sucks, right? It sucks because Jacoby's not playing very good football. And in the beginning, I said Jacoby's not the reason the Patriots are losing. I wouldn't even say he's really one of the reasons the Patriots are losing. To me, he's excelling the offense past his limitations. He's throwing on the run. He's avoiding pressure. He's doing things that realistically he should never be asked to do. That's not his style of quarterback. But I think what we're seeing from Jacoby Brissett is also what we saw from Mac Jones last year, from Bailey Zappi last year. And what I mean by that is his internal clock is being sped up to where at first it's not the quarterback's problem, but the offensive line is just letting him get hit and hit and hit. That at some point, the quarterback, they start to see ghosts a little bit. Kind of like Sam Darnold back in like 2019 when he saw ghosts playing against the Patriots at MetLife. It's kind of that same thing. When your O-line sucks so bad, you start to sense pressure that's not there, right? You start to think that somebody's there when they're not. There's a body here. You're starting to jitter a little bit. You start to get in your head because you're used to this pressure. Even if you have 5 seconds in the pocket, you're still going to treat it like you have 2 seconds and pressure on your back because that's what's consistently happened to you. And so far, the Patriots are averaging over a 50% pressure rate through 4 weeks. We'll have to see what it was here in week 5, but through 4 weeks heading into this game, it was over a 50% pressure rate. And I think that's part of why. To where in this game, I think this is the most time we've seen Jacoby Brissett have in the pocket, but he's still making bad reads. He's making bad throws. His mechanics are off because he's not setting his feet because he's just trying to get the ball out immediately because that's what he's used to having to play with because of how bad the offensive line is. So in reality, Jacoby is getting kind of worse and worse here as each week goes on. We also understand that, I mean, realistically, Jacoby isn't a guy that you want starting for you in the NFL for an entire season. I think he can be one of the best 32 quarterbacks, but he's going to be like number 32, 31, 30. Like he's not going to be a high end or even average quarterback for you. He's going to be more kind of back end of the 32 quarterbacks. And I think we're kind of seeing what that looks like. Rob, any thoughts on this one? No, now I don't hear you at all. I think now I hear myself. I don't know why.
How about now?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that good now?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. At this point, he's just basically someone that's going to be just taking the hits for us. Like it really, that's all it is. And it just sucks because, I mean, I thought the offensive line did decent. It's just like I said, man, it's just a back-breaking holding penalties that when we would get chunk plays, it gets called back. And you can't really do much about that, man. Like there's so many times where like we would get a play and then it's like, oh, well, I know you just got a first down. Here's a holding call on this. Like I just lost track of how many times there were 6 penalties in the first half. I think it was like 11 or 12 overall for over 100 yards, man. Like you can't win many games if you're constantly in this kind of battle of like we're already at a deficit anyways because of this team's just inability to score. So like having already to be behind the 8 ball constantly is just outside of that 33-yard touchdown by Stevenson. It really was just not a lot of anything else. Maybe the 24-yard run by Antonio Gibson, maybe the 17-yard catch by Demario Douglas where he converted after we had gotten a penalty. But other than those little plays there really wasn't much else.
Yeah,
I will preface, I do apologize, guys, if my audio is not great or my connection's not great. I apologize.
It's okay. My connection's been off too. I mean, with this hurricane thing, it kind of just has everybody shook up technically right now. But look, I know we want to see Drake Maye. I think if Jacoby Brissett just continues to trend this way of getting worse each week, we're going to end up seeing Jacoby Brissett, or not Jacoby, but Drake Maye sooner rather than later. Because honestly, Rob, you kind of hinted on this earlier. I think if he continues to play this bad, he's going to continue to miss wide open receivers and go to the wrong read. We're going to end up seeing them have to put in Drake Maye because they're going to lose the locker room if they don't. If they know that there's a better quarterback that can potentially win you a game, like if Drake Maye was starting, could he have won them this game? He might have. He honestly might have. I think there's a good chance he could have. Then if you don't make that move, you don't kind of clip it in the butt there, you're going to start to lose the players in your locker room. And that's the last thing that Gerard Mayo wants here in his first year. But let's continue getting on to these super chats. My boys back at it said, we should tank, in my opinion, for a top edge rusher. So I don't love this edge rushing class. I did. It's not looking so good so far. Like looking at the top guys from this 2023 season, not looking good so far. And one of the guys that was projected to be a first rounder is out for the season. He had a pretty big season-ending injury, so he's obviously not a first-round pick at this point. I think that if they want edge rusher, it's going to be later on in the draft, and you're hoping to develop those guys, but you're probably looking for an immediate impact player in free agency or via trade at this point, because right now, at least, this draft class for edge rushers is not looking like what I was expecting it to. And again, you also have to use that first-round pick on an offensive tackle. So that's
bro, we need to go offensive line for like maybe the first 2 picks. I don't see any reason why we need to go grab an edge. Like Keon White, he's doing his thing. I mean, the defensive interior was suffering today, but that's because you have the absence of Christian Barmore. Like, I don't think we need an edge rusher right now. I think we can get to the quarterback. It's just when they're able to get the ball up the middle and basically pound the rock on us consistently and rip off chunk plays with like Jalen Wright, right? Or
yeah,
I don't know. That's really the issue. It's not like we weren't getting pressure on the quarterback. It's just that we were just letting the defense and interior couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Yeah, shout out to my boy Jay Peasy coming in with a $5 donation. Says Jalen Polk morale is gone after 2 weeks of recalled catches. I mean, yeah, dude, this guy's a dog. Obviously has that touchdown week 2. So close to having a touchdown here in week 5. He had that big catch against the 49ers last week that, controversial. Was it inbounds? Was it not inbounds? He's made some crazy catches. He's made some really good plays, especially working through contact. I like that they're targeting him a lot more and trying to get him more involved. And then honestly, once they start reaching the red zone, start taking shots to these guys in the end zone. Like point blank, start going to Jalen Polk, start going to Hunter Henry. Those are the 2 guys that I want to see them target the most. Kendrick Bourne's now back in the mix. We'll talk about him. Start targeting these guys, right? Stop passing or stop throwing passes behind the line of scrimmage and start throwing passes and taking shots in the actual end zone if you want to start capitalizing on these plays. But yeah, dude, Jalen Polk, super underrated. I understand that the stat sheet doesn't necessarily light up, but especially from a rookie in his first 5 games, things that have been called back. This guy is an absolute dog, and I'm excited to see him in the future. Supposedly, he has a better rapport with Drake Maye, and if that's the case, I am excited to see what the combination of Maye and Polk is going to look like when the time comes.
I mean, that's to be expected when they're during the offseason, they were just getting extra time with also with Javon Baker. So like, I expect that chemistry to be exponentially better with those 2. With Drake Maye.
So did you hear about why they're not playing Javon Baker?
Well, apparently he's running wrong routes or he's not lining up correctly, but I really think it all stems back to that Instagram thing, and they're just trying to make an example of him.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the fundamentals he is struggling with, because even if you look back to the preseason, several times where it's like, dude, I mean, you look back to that first ball from Drake Maye, was it against the Eagles? I think it was. He's running half his route out of bounds. It's just situational football. And I feel like there's so many times where, they need to discipline players, and we've seen them not do it. So I would be surprised if they just started doing that with Javon Baker, because clearly they don't believe in discipline. Gerard Mayo doesn't believe in discipline and reprimanding his players. So it wouldn't surprise me if it really is the fundamentals that come down to it, and that's just why he's not playing.
And at the end of the day, he's still young. So even if he is like, he needs to work on these things. I mean, it's all good, man. Like, develop.
My boy D comes in with a $2 donation. Really appreciate you, brother. You said AVP's offense is outdated. It's not creative at all. I think he needs to be better with play calling for sure, especially in certain circumstances. We also have to keep in mind that he's been an offensive coordinator. He's been a quarterback's coach, but this is the first time in his career that he's done it to a full-time extent without any help from anybody else.
Yeah,
Gerard Mayo is not helping him.
He hasn't really called plays until like 2009 with the Buffalo Bills. So it's been quite a bit of time.
Yeah, I think it was 2020 or 2021. He did it for maybe a game when Kevin Stefanski went out with COVID for that one game. That was the only other time he did it. He hasn't done it to a full extent to this point. So I think we're seeing some of these young and these kind of first timers kind of working through some growing pains. It wouldn't surprise me. And Rob, we have to see how things continue to progress before I kind of make this a final statement. But it wouldn't surprise me if they brought in Alex Van Pelt specifically to figure out their quarterback, develop their quarterback, hit on the quarterback, and then down the line, they end up getting a real offensive coordinator that can kind of unleash him a little bit more. I wonder if the whole thing was just to hit on the quarterback, and that's why AVP was here, because we know he can do that.
I will say this. Well, he also had brought on who the hell was it from the Giants? Why is his name slipping my mind?
Mick something.
No. He had the ability to draft quarterbacks. He wasn't a good head coach. He was a good.
I know who you're talking about.
But so you know who I'm talking about. But AVP is predominantly known for he was a quarterback. McAdoo. There you go. Well, so McAdoo knows how to identify who is a good quarterback. Well, one thing that AVP was good at, which I mean, he was good at being a quarterbacks coach. He did that well with the Browns. He did that well with the Packers when he had Aaron Rodgers, who got an MVP season. Now that's Aaron Rodgers, I know. But the fact of the matter is, AVP, when he was with the Browns and he had Baker Mayfield's interceptions dropped in half. I appreciate the chat saying Ben McAdoo. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. You guys are awesome. But yeah, I think AVP, I don't know if I want to change up the whole offensive coordinator and make this a trending thing where we constantly change it up. I think honestly, let's see what he has when he actually has talent at his disposal, when he has a solid offensive line, when he has a quarterback that actually can really do it. Look, Jacoby Brissett is doing all decent. But I mean, you're asking a painter to paint with three colors and expecting them to really paint the Mona Lisa, and you can't really do that when you have not much at your disposal. So that being said, I want to see what he has when he has an arsenal at his disposal before we really try to send him off and make this another offensive coordinator situation.
What do you think about everybody giving all of this hate to the coaching staff? I mean, real quick, go through your thoughts. You just hit on Alex Van Pelt, but what do you think about Maye so far? What do you think about DeMarcus Covington on the defense?
I think this is a brand new coaching staff in a brand new era with a lot of brand new things. So we have to reserve our judgment. Wait until this roster has a little bit of a talent on it. And I mean, at least a decent O-line before we start to really make our assessment. We all say, you go look at the Las Vegas over under for this team in wins. It's 4.5 going into the season, which kind of makes sense going into the season. So if Las Vegas, who's always trying to take your money, is saying, hey, listen, this team is a 4.5 win team. I mean, if we can get close to that, I'm happy. But you can't expect this coaching staff with basically, I mean, look, I love Belichick. I love what he did for this team, but towards the latter years, he left the cupboard bare. And Elliott Wolf in one offseason you cannot rehabilitate a roster like this in one offseason. Look, Polk looks like a stud. Javon Baker, if he can get it together, he could probably be a stud. Caden Wallace pick doesn't look too good right now. I want to give it a little bit more time before I make my judgment. I think one season's just not enough, man. Maybe I'm just I just don't think making rash judgment is something that the Carolina Panthers and their owner Tepper does. You don't want to keep firing everybody and not have any type of continuity.
Yeah, I agree. My boy comes back in here. By the way, thank you to everybody who's donating already. We're only about a half hour in. You guys are absolutely killing it. I really appreciate you guys donating. Help support the channel. Comes back in, lets us get the equipment that we need to make really good content for you guys and do a lot of really cool things. So really, really appreciate you guys for giving back to the channel and allowing me to do this full time. Donations are really one of the best ways at supporting the channel. Another free way at doing so is, of course, by sharing the video, leaving a really big like, subscribing to the channel for all your news. Liking really does go a far way. It actually helps this video and the channel hit the YouTube algorithm a little bit better when you guys do. But my boy comes back in here with another $5 donation, says, what about Jack Sawyer? So I haven't done a lot of research yet per se on a lot of these players. I'm more so looking at offensive tackles right now and doing my process. I will be coming out with an early draft video shortly. But Rob, I know you already are pretty heavy into the draft. Do you know anything about him?
Absolutely not. I wanted to just be like really invested into the season outside of Will Campbell and maybe who's that kid? Kelvin Banks out of Texas. I'm not really. I don't want to dive into the draft, and when I do, it's going to be full head of steam. So I'm sorry, respectfully, I don't know who Jack Sawyer is, or I will when I eventually get there.
Yeah, like I said, I'm doing my due diligence on a lot of players already. I haven't
trying to be positive.
Yeah, at this point, I feel like people just are done with the season already, as much as it sucks to say.
I'm not done with the season, but I'm trying to grab some glimmer and some silver lining in this season. I really am trying my best to be positive.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of Patriots fans are kind of done with the season based off of what I've seen. I'm not. I'm always going to watch the games. I'm always going to figure out my takeaways, but that's also my job. It's not everybody's job to, of course, watch it.
Also my job.
Exactly. It's a little bit different. So I will have an early draft video coming out, though, and I'll definitely make sure to look into Jack Sawyer and some of these edge rushers. But right now, I'm more so doing my due diligence on these tackles because that is undoubtedly the biggest need of this team is offensive tackle and offensive line in general.
Not even just off. I think both sides of the tackle, because I think on one at right guard, and we got to get the right tackle and left tackle taken care of. But that's besides the point.
But Rob, let's just start breaking this thing down. To me, why I'm so frustrated is not because we lost, right? And part of the reason it is, but for the most part, it's not. Last week, I came on here fine against the 49ers when we lost, right? But that's a game we should have lost. We were always going to lose. It didn't surprise me. This is a game where if Tua started, I would have said the Patriots were going to lose. I projected them to originally lose this game. And in fact, for the people saying, Patriots Global, you're blowing smoke up my bum, I promise you, look, I actually did project the Patriots to lose this game. So technically, my ratings are correct so far. But when I heard that Tua wasn't playing in this game, when I heard that it was Huntley, who is a second, third string quarterback who they signed off of the Ravens practice squad, who just got to Miami a few weeks ago, and this was his second start for Miami. Yeah, I thought that this was a game the Patriots should win, and this is one of the easiest games that they're going to play. Like, Mike McDaniels hasn't been a good play caller. The defense for them hasn't been very good. Like, they
scored 33 points all season. They're averaging 9 points a game. This is a team that's literally dead last in the NFL. This is there's a lot of reasons why you would think that you would say this team would win.
Yeah, this was a game the Patriots should have won. Like, there's not going to be a lot of those games, Robin.
Brother, before this game, they hadn't led a snap all season. Do you know when they won their first game, how they won? Off a game-winning field goal. They never led all season at all.
Yeah, what did they put up against the Titans? Against the Titans, they put up 13 points or something like that.
I can't remember, man. I can't remember.
The week prior was 3 points. So again, this is a team that you expect the Patriots would be able to fare up at least well against. And I'm looking at these matchups and I'm saying, with the current state of the Miami Dolphins and the fact that you are playing Snoop Huntley, what team is worse? Are the Colts worse? I don't think so. Are the Jags worse? Probably not, even though they just got their first win this week. I would still say that I would probably choose the Jags to be a better team over Snoop Huntley and how the Dolphins have been so far. I'd say the Bears are probably a better team. I'd say the Cardinals are still probably a better team. I'd say the Chargers are a better team. Like, this might have been the easiest opponent left. And look, I'll put the caveat on is that these in-division games, they're very tough, right? Like, these in-division games, they're not about the best roster and the worst roster. It's really any given Sunday, a team can just come out. Even when Tom Brady was here and you were playing against Ryan Tannehill, there were times that they would still kill the Patriots because sometimes it's just those teams, those in-division opponents that they just know you better than other teams do, and they can kind of get the upper ledge on you. And I think if you're a Patriots fan, you're hoping that's what this is, but it just feels like the Patriots have played worse and worse football as time is going on. And that's not what you want. And I said this on Bleacher Report, Rob. I said, as a Patriots fan, you're not expecting to win. You're not expecting to be competitive. As a Patriots fan for 2024, all you are asking for is progression. And there is still time to progress, of course. But so far, this team hasn't progressed. You've gotten worse from week 1 to week 2, from week 2 to week 3, from week 3 to week 4. And I don't know if I would say, I mean, would you say from week 4 to week 5? I mean, the deficit wasn't as bad, but this is, again, against a bad team that you would expect to win against. So, like, you could really go either way. Either way, this team is not progressing the way that we need them to start to say, yeah, we aren't going to win anything, but at least we're progressing and we're getting better.
It could have been a lot worse, man. You got to look at, like, going about towards the end of the half. Jonnu Smith drops a wide open touchdown. Their center snaps the football, goes back 30 yards. They miss a field goal. Botched field goal. Wait, I guess that was a botched field goal. The game could have been a lot worse. I mean, five QB hits, 10 pressures, 2 sacks in the first half. I mean, I'm not making, for the people that are saying I'm making excuses in the chat, I'm not making excuses. This team is not good this year. Like, it is what it is, but like that, we didn't expect them to be this bad. Let's be honest. Am I being too much of a homer thinking this team wouldn't be this bad? Because I thought this team is better than last year's team.
Well, according to DVOA, and I don't know what they are right now, but heading into this game, according to DVOA, they were, in fact, let me pull it up exactly because I don't want to say anything that is incorrect. Stay with me. I have a lot of statistics in my phone, so sometimes.
And I respect people in the chat. They're saying that you thought this team was going to be that bad, and you know what? Maybe that's just me being a homer, guys. I just love this team that much, and I just want. Maybe I'm just blinded by my own thoughts. Guys. I can be wrong. Like, I'm not. Nobody's going to be Nostradamus and hit on everything. I'm just like every game, guys. I have tried to get myself on this live and try to be positive. And sometimes it's blindly obvious that I'm just being positive just to be positive. But we're all Patriots fans. I'm just looking for something to be happy about with this team. So I apologize if I'm being just overly optimistic.
Yeah, Rob, I think what's disappointing for me, though, is that I understand why we got rid of Belichick, and I tell people this all the time because there's this new narrative of we got rid of the greatest coach of all time, and look what happened. Like, that was a mistake.
It was time, man. Look, at the end of the day, he's 72 years old. I'm not saying we wouldn't have been better this year with him. It's just like at some point you're gonna have to rip the Band-Aid off, and you had the number 3 overall pick. It sucks. I love Belichick, I really do, and I didn't want to get rid of him either. But you're gonna have, like, the best way to start that new regime would have been with something fresh.
I think we have to look at why, right? Why did they let him go? It's not because he wasn't a good coach. It wasn't because he was bad at scheming things up from X's and O's, but it's because Belichick thought that coaching mattered more than the talent on the field. And Belichick never wanted to give a player a contract that exceeded what he was making, which was about $25 million per year. Same thing that happened with Tom Brady. And that's part of why Tom Brady ended up leaving, because he wasn't getting that respect. He wasn't getting, that contract. And times are changing. The league is changing. You need to play players high-end money to where would Christian Barmore have gotten that extension? Would Onwenu have gotten that extension under Belichick? Probably not, because Belichick never once gave a player more money than he was making per year. And the talent, the lack of talent on this roster is another big reason, because Belichick couldn't separate being a coach from being a general manager. And he just wasn't a good enough. He wasn't a consistent enough general manager. And that's why there was a major lack of talent overall on this offense.
I think it goes to show you how maybe we just undervalue a little bit. No, we still value this, but maybe we undervalue a little bit what Dante Scarnecchia brought to this team, just being able to not only develop offensive linemen, just to be able to help Belichick maybe go through the draft and be like, hey, listen, there's a draft. Because I'm assuming he had his own hand in getting Onwenu, who was a 6th-round pick. David Andrews, undrafted. Shaq Mason, 5th-round pick. These are all players that, like, we are just stealing at the end of the draft, or undrafted in general. And those are players that probably handpicked by a coach in Dante Scarnecchia.
Yeah, and then Bill Belichick decides that he's going to move on from Shaq Mason for no reason. He decides that he's not going to re-sign Ted Karras.
But in the past,
moves on from Joe Tooney.
That would work because you had a quarterback and Tom Brady. So and just because of all this stuff, and all what he would carry, that players will still flock here. This is a rebuilding situation. We make any minuscule changes, it's drastic at this point.
Excuse me. Shout out to Andy coming in with a $5 donation. Says Gonzo needs to be in the conversation for comeback player of the year. Andy, you're so right, and nobody's talking about it.
He's that boy's a God.
And we're gonna talk about him a little bit later. But Rob, I had him for 3 interceptions. He should have had. He had 1. He should have had 3.
I mean, heads up play by Tyreek Hill poking that ball out in the end zone, but like
freaking Gonzo, dude, just lets it bobble.
He is. I mean, outside of that DK play, which by the way, we all found out that was because Kyle Duggar, I guess, changed whatever he had to change before the play went off. But other than that, maybe the Garrett Wilson play where he got a touchdown. I mean, like obviously, like it was at that point in the game where he had to make some kind of play, but he's been special. That's definitely something to hang our hat on. This kid is. He's easily a top 10 cornerback in the NFL. But I will be brash and I'd say I think he's top 5. The kid is amazing. And if you go to actually listen to how he carries himself, I know people say he may be a little bit cocky. Go listen to Richard Sherman podcast where this kid's talking to him. He is actually way ahead of his time. And what I mean by that is he's not only studying the players, he's studying the offensive coordinators and what they like, which is crazy. I challenge everybody to go look at the Richard Sherman podcast where Gonzo's on there. Just some incredible stuff.
Yeah, I did watch it. That was actually pretty dope. But yeah, Gonzo, I don't think Gonzo's cocky at all. I think Gonzo's very quiet. Gonzo really doesn't talk.
People think that, and he did get a little chirpy today, which I kind of liked. He just kind of chirped off at Tyreek Hill. But yeah. I don't see the cockiness, but there are people that have said he is a little.
He needs to be in the conversation for comeback player of the year. The fact
that he needs to be in the conversation for defensive player of the year in general. I know, but he's on a losing team. You may not get it.
The fact that BetUS had his over under interceptions being 1.5 is absolutely insane to me when he should have had 3 in this game alone. Also, interesting parallel. His first career interception comes week 2 at home against the Miami Dolphins. Week 5 at home against the Miami Dolphins again. Gets his second. So let's be honest. Gonzo owns the Miami Dolphins. I do believe, though, that this is the first game. So they were headed into week 5. There were 4 cornerbacks in the NFL that hadn't allowed a 15-plus yard completion. I do believe that after this week, Gonzo did unfortunately break that. But like still, the fact that he lasted 4 weeks without allowing a 15-plus yard reception is absolutely insane, and props to him. But from what we were talking about a little bit earlier here too, Rob, I did find that statistic that I was indeed looking for. So Patriots last year in 2023, keep in mind they had the hardest ranked schedule according to strength of the schedule. In 2023, their offense, DVOA, they ranked 29th. This year, they ranked 29th. Defensively, last year, they were ranked 9th. This year, they're ranked 27th. That's the big difference right now, is that right now this defense is not looking good. And we'll talk about it when we start getting into the Patriots defense. But I mean, you're the second best run defense in the NFL all last year. Heading into that Jets game, you were second best again. And heading into this game specifically, they were 9th. They're definitely dropped lower. They definitely dropped lower than that now. They have to be outside of the top 10. But to me, what this comes down to overall today, in my biggest rant, is just undisciplined football all around. I mean, 12 penalties, 104 yards. This is the same freaking crap it was last year. Shooting yourselves in the feet at the worst freaking moments. Offense, defense. I mean, defense, you have holding. Offense, you can't get lined up correctly. You have holding calls all up and down the wazoo. I mean, what are we doing? Again, it's in those most inopportune moments when you have to convert. It's on those third downs. It's when you have a big play and it ends up getting called back, and now you're putting yourself back even further. And it all came down mostly too in the second half when the game started to become close, when the Patriots needed to go down and score points. And we see just how close this game got. We see that this game came down to a toe tap from the Patriots winning. We see that it came down to maybe a timeout or two. Really, a few extra seconds if the Patriots just had to be able to spike the ball on that Hunter Henry grab and take another shot into the end zone to try and win that game. Because when they got the ball back, that pass to Kayshon Boutte, boom, that pass to Hunter Henry, boom. You're at the 10-yard line, but you don't have enough time to be able to take a shot to the end zone and try to finish off this game yet again. It's because of shooting themselves in the foot. It is such undisciplined football. And Rob, this is what I was telling you earlier. It's like Bill Belichick's here and Gerard Mayo's here. Bill Belichick, if you fumble once, you're out like the entire season. Then if you have Gerard Mayo, who he says, leading up, what was this? Go ahead.
I have to say, Keon White, after that back-to-back, I think it was roughing the passer and
he had a horse collar and then roughing the passer, all on the same drive.
It was back-to-back plays if I remember. I believe he took him out after that for like a couple plays at least. So he did. I don't want to just stick up for him just to stick up for him, but I did notice I didn't see him out there. So maybe he took him out for like at least a drive.
Yeah, but a couple plays. Like,
yeah, I know, man. I know.
I'm a player and I do something wrong, and I'm like, oh, a couple plays, that ain't gonna that's not gonna.
We got to see Stevenson. I mean, he rebounded and he didn't fumble today.
Yeah, so. But listen, Rob, that's what annoys me too. Is that Gerard Mayo is so focused on being a player's coach and being buddies and respecting these guys that he won't lay the hammer down when he needs to. Ramondre fumbled 4 weeks in a row. The 2 weeks prior, he lost both of them. And we were told on Friday that he's not going to be the bell cow anymore, that he is going to sit behind Antonio Gibson until he learns and proves that, he can be that bell cow because he needs to be disciplined. Rob, we saw him disciplined on the opening offensive drive. And after that, he wasn't disciplined. In fact, he was the bell cow. He was the literal freaking bell cow for the Patriots today. He had 12 attempts to Antonio Gibson's 6. So what was this about? He's going to be disciplined. He's going to sit. He's not going to be our lead back. Brother, you mean you weren't going to give him an opportunity on the opening offensive drive? That's your discipline?
I don't know what to tell you, man. Like I can't even disagree with you. I agree. Like it's, but I just don't know where we draw the line. Maybe he did rebound, but I get what you're saying. Like there's no other way around. So I don't know how long Keon White was out. And I'm just trying to freaking be positive. That's just how it is. And it's probably just making excuses at this point.
And you're right. He did bounce back. He had a good game. He was a big piece on why this game was as close as it was. So overall, yeah, I guess good call on Gerard Mayo. But what would have happened, Rob? What would have happened if Ramondre Stevenson fumbled in this game again? And we all looked at Gerard Mayo with a bright spotlight and said, you sat him for the first drive offensively, and that was his punishment. Same thing you did when he fumbled every other week. We're going to sit you for a few plays and we're going to let you back in. And what did that do? You talked to the media about discipline, and then you lied to the media saying that he wasn't going to be the bell cow. That's not what happened at all.
The only thing I could do, because I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I'm not trying to pick a side or anything. The only thing I could think of, the reason why it could be the positive, is he was just basically putting his neck out there and being like, okay, Mondre, if now I do this for you and you screw it up, this is on me, which obviously it's on him anyways, but it makes him look that much worse. And I guess maybe that belief he had in Ramondre, even after a drive, maybe is probably what he could help him turn that corner. But I agree with you, man. I don't disagree with you anything. I was just think maybe Mayo just put his neck out there.
It's just hard to trust or believe Gerard Mayo. And I think that's what's hard as a coach, right? I agree. At least with Bill Belichick, he wouldn't tell you anything, right? And that's one thing. But Belichick would never lie to you. Belichick wouldn't say something and then do the exact opposite. You never know what to expect or what to believe with Gerard Mayo so far throughout his coaching career here in New England, because he says one thing and he does another. He did this he on several different occasions, did it during the offseason. If you're going to say something, stick by it, because what are we supposed to believe? What storylines are we supposed to believe? What are your players supposed to believe? Right now, I'm afraid that players think that they can walk all over Gerard Mayo. And that's not the atmosphere that you want to start building.
I'm just hoping, man, that he's using this as a lesson going into the rest of the season, that you can't be giving up too much information. You got to sometimes there's one thing about Belichick that I mean, it used to drive me crazy, but he wouldn't give the media anything. Leave them guessing, and it just leaves everything up in the air. So maybe maybe it's just something he's going to have to learn.
Honestly, Rob, as somebody who goes to school for this exact thing, and our job essentially being what we are told in the press room, our questions being based off of things that you have said and the things that you are doing. You only get limited amount of questions every single week, and it is up to the reporters to figure out what those questions are going to be. And then if you lie to us and we do our videos and we do our articles and we do all of these things based off of a lie, that makes us then look dumb. That makes us look like we don't know what we're talking about. And again, he's done this on several different occasions.
And then you'll have receipts, and then it's something that's brought up in the presser, and then everybody that's in this comment section right now is like, hey, listen, I remember you saying in the beginning of the season that we were gonna spend cash and everything. It just, I mean, it's like I'm saying, man, I'm just trying to hope that he's gonna learn from this. That he's gonna learn from all these mistakes in year one, because what DeMeco Ryan did over in Houston is just crazy what he was able to do.
I just wish, if that was the case, I just wish that you wouldn't speak. I'd rather you do what Belichick did and not tell us anything than to tell us something that is not true. And at the end of the day, is he lying to us? Or Rob, or is what he's doing is he's not sure of himself. He's second guessing. I'm going to punish Ramondre, but then he's stuck in his head. Oh, do I really want to punish Ramondre? He's our best player. I'm not going to punish Ramondre anymore. So now he has this back and forth internally with himself, which if that's the case, that's an even bigger red flag, because if you don't know what you're doing as a head coach, bro, you're leading an entire team. If you can't make a simple decision, if you're going to be indecisive, then you don't deserve to be a damn head coach in the NFL. And that is a miss on Robert Kraft, saying that he was as confident as he was to bring in Gerard Mayo. And I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, okay? We are 5 weeks, bro. We are 5 weeks into this. He is the second youngest head coach in the NFL. There is a lot to still see. But is these tendencies that we are seeing time after time where we're hearing and he's saying something and then he's doing the exact opposite. And it's just like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, if the media can barely respect you, how are your damn players going to learn to respect you? And you need respect in the locker room. You don't need to do it the way that Bill Belichick did, that, military-esque style of coaching, as people like to call it. You don't need to treat your players like it's boot camp, and Gerard Mayo's trying to make this an atmosphere that people want to be. You look at the report cards, the Patriots have been in F section. They've been one of the worst teams in that yearly report card every single year, and Gerard Mayo's trying to make this a place that people want to play. But at the end of the day, if you can't learn to put your foot down and discipline players when they need it, they're going to walk all over you. And that's, I think, part of why, too, Rob, we're seeing players play for themselves. Not Gerard Mayo, but Josh Uche, Keon White, a lot of these players getting called out last week for not caring about what's going to win the game for the team, but rather caring about themselves, individual statistics. And part of that comes down to, again, Gerard Mayo for not disciplining, and these players thinking that they can do whatever they want and get away with it. Even if they're off for a few plays, they'll be back in the next drive.
Brother, I hope everybody that's in the chat doesn't take me as taking any side. I'm literally just trying to play devil's advocate.
And that's important, Rob. That's what
I really am just trying to be from. Like. I'm just really, believe me, Colby, there's a lot of things I want to say, and I'm just really trying to be positive, but he looks like he's not certain on a lot of things. He looks like he's flustered on the sideline. He looks like he's not confident in what he wants to do. Fuck it. I'm just gonna say it. There's a lot freaking wrong with this crap. He really needs to just be stern. You can be a player's coach, but actually enforce things. You don't need to be like Belichick and be militant. You could be a player's coach. Like I just said, you could put your arm around the player, but right now we're losing games. And it's because of dysfunctionality, and because we're getting boneheaded plays where we're just critical situations where we're about to convert a damn first down, we're about to score points, and Keon White or whoever it is going to hold or commit a damn defensive penalty.
Yeah, look, and Rob, it's important.
I just been playing devil's advocate this whole damn stream. I'm trying to see it from both points of view, but Guys, I'm literally trying to be positive, but this is freaking annoying. It's just there's a lot more issues with this team with and the fact that we keep on hearing behind the scenes that there may be a some kind of division between AVP and him as well. There, you can't have AVP come out in the press conference and say that, oh, I think Jacoby Brissett is a quarterback, and then Gerard Mayo, the next after him, goes, hey, listen, I think Drake May outperformed him during the preseason. Like, you need to be a cohesive unit. It needs to be a cohesive unit. So I apologize that I've been trying to play for this from both sides of the view, but I'm losing my freaking mind.
But it's important, Rob, and I think, Joey points out an excellent point.
I know, but I look like an ass. See, this is where I look like a freaking ass because I'm trying to stick up for him a little bit. I'm trying to see it from maybe his point of view, but it's making us fans that would have been critical of him last year. Because the only reason I'm not trying to be a little bit less critical of him is because it's his first year. But it's like it's starting to become a trend where it's like this is coaching problems where you're making these players are not disciplined. Oh
yeah, I mean, look, it's important to look at it from both sides. Why is he doing these things? What is the objective? What could he be thinking? That's what's important to do in this industry. But at some point, you also have to look at the other side and say there's no excuse for it. And it's not helping the team right now. It is killing this team, if anything. And Rob, we have pointed out so many different instances here where it's hurting the team. You not getting on these players more is hurting the team. You not being disciplined enough and teaching disciplined football is hurting the team. There's another one I'm going to give you here. Just from today's game. We're not even talking about the past, guys. We're talking about today's game. There was a point today where I believe it was the opening drive for the Miami Dolphins. If not, it was the second one. But they're about to punt, and then the Patriots get a penalty for 12 men on the field. So too many men on the field, they get called, and instead of a punt, the Miami Dolphins get a fresh set of downs. They drive down the field, and they get 3 points. You look at how close this game came, those 3 points, very, very important. And everybody wants to get on Joey Sly for missing his field goal. Joey Sly has been perfect all the way up to this point. I don't consider that block on him. That was on the offensive line. That was on Austin Hooper.
Like I said, man, we were given every opportunity to win this game, and they had every opportunity to score more points on us. I just said at the end of the half, Jonnu Smith was wide open. He drops a pass. 30-yard, the sender snaps the football. The ball goes back 30 yards. They missed the field goal. They literally gave us every opportunity to win this fucking game. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is just, I'm losing my fucking mind. I can't believe I'm crashing out right now. It's just like, they were just as them did. We finally found a team that's just as fucked up as we are. And we still fucked up the game. They had scored 33 points all season. They were averaging 9 points a freaking game. They were averaging 10, 7, and 6 a quarter.
Yeah, it comes like we said, Rob. It comes down to discipline.
There's every bit of reason why we thought we should have won this game. You have Tyler Huntley. You've got dollar store Lamar Jackson out there who cannot pass the ball, but he looked like Joe Montana out there. How many times where the middle of the field was wide fucking open? Breakdowns in coverage. Players are wide open. We're breaking contain. Keon White, we're about to get off the field. He commits a freaking grounding, or not a grounding, a penalty, roughing the passer. Then the very next play, horse collar, then roughing the passer. So we could get off the field and then you just keep shooting yourselves in the foot. Just be disciplined a little bit.
And what I'll say, because I don't think Hoodie's been here the entire time. Guys jumping off sides is a coaching problem. No, what we're saying is that consistently, if this happens just from time to time, then yes, it's a player thing. But when your players are doing this every single game and you have 12 penalties, negating in 104 negative yards for you, it comes down to coaching. It comes down to discipline. If your guys aren't playing fundamental football, that comes down to your coaching, having them ready and having them disciplined. Yes, that part comes down to coaching. If you have one here and there, yeah, you're right. That isn't their problem. But
I apologize, Colby.
It does come down. No, bro, you're good. It does come down to the coaching staff when this is a continuous problem. And again, 12 penalties, 104 yards in this game alone. The coaching staff is not having their players ready. This is something the coaching staff has said before. They've taken responsibility for it. They're just not doing anything to do right by it. I mean, in today's game, Rob just went off and listed everything for you about how this was a game the Patriots should have at least, won. Like, this isn't tough. This isn't Miami Dolphins, that we've seen in the beginning of the season in the last several years. Tua is not here. They haven't been a good team. They literally lost to the Titans last week, bro. They lost to the Titans.
They have not led at any point this season. They
won
they
didn't lead at any point
off a game-winning field goal. They scored 9 points per game. 9!
If you look at it too, Rob, they killed the Patriots in pretty much every single statistical category here. Time of possession, they had 34 minutes and 20 seconds. The Patriots had 25 minutes and 40 seconds. We know the Patriots are the type of team that needs to dominate time of possession and not turn over the ball if they're going to win games. They were not able to dominate time of possession. Total yards, 372 for the Dolphins, 299 for the Patriots. Miami had 179 passing. New England had 148 yards passing. Miami had 193 rushing. New England had 151 rushing. They had 24 first downs. New England had 15. They had 6 penalties. We had 12. So we had double the penalties that they had, and they didn't play a good game. The only place that we kind of won here was we had 0 turnovers while they had 2, but they also had more production, Rob, because they ran more plays. Why did they get to run more plays? Because they're able to stay on the field. They were able to convert on third down when they needed to. These are 2 of the worst third down offenses in the entire National Football League. They had 75 total plays, while New England only had a total of 55 plays this entire game. That is why our production wasn't near what theirs was because we were not able to stay on the field. We were not able to convert to give our offense more opportunities.
We blocked. Brendan Schooler blocked a punt. We got an interception. Did we get any points? I lost track if we got points on those drives.
So one of them. So I know that on that Christian Gonzalez interception, the Patriots were able to turn that into 7 points. But when it came to the blocked field goal, when it came to the blocked, not the blocked punt, but I guess like the missed punt, whatever the hell that was, they just didn't snap it right and it hit the ground. They weren't able to put up points from those, right? So like, again, Rob, how are we going to win here? We're going to dominate time of possession. We're not going to turn the ball over. And we're going to ask our defense and special teams to create opportunities, to create short field position for our offense so that they can get into the end zone and put up points easily. And they did that several times today. And we were only able to get into the end zone one time from that.
I don't know, man. There's just a lot wrong.
It comes down to complementary football, Rob. That's all. It comes down to playing complementary football, and that's not what we're doing. We say, oh, we need our offense to make a play here. Our offense makes a play, and then our defense will go let up a touchdown. Then our defense or our special teams is able to make this big play, and we say, all right, offense, you're starting at the 15, you're starting at the 20, you're starting at the 30. Let's get this baby into the end zone and extend the lead. And then what do? They'll get a field goal. Or sometimes we've even seen it this season, well, they'll take a penalty or they'll take a sack and it'll knock them out of field goal position. And now they have to punt. It's just not playing complementary football, and it's shooting yourselves in the foot. Again, the Miami Dolphins won today. They're the more talented team. They have the more experienced coaching staff. Okay, nobody's taking anything away from them. But what we're saying is that they're shooting themselves in the foot. It's the penalties. It is not playing complementary football. If the Patriots just did right by themselves, they didn't harm themselves in this game, they would have won, and they should have won, and that's what we're trying to say. Last week against the 49ers, they didn't lose because they were shooting themselves in the foot. They lost that game because they were going up against the better team that deserved to win from the jump. That's not what the case was in this specific game, and that's what's frustrating. To me, Rob, you talked about this a little bit earlier. I just want to kind of get your thoughts here on Jacoby Brissett, who finishes today 18 for 34, 160 yards, 8.9 yards on average, 0 turnovers, but 0 touchdowns thrown, and 2 sacks. He put up an overall rating of 65.8. Any thoughts on him and how he performed today?
I just don't know what to blame at this point because it's just all shit. It's all shit. He had like 65 yards going into like the fourth quarter. And I know I know the offensive line is not doing great or whatever. And I know the players are getting open. He's not seeing them. There are times he does make good plays, like he did the scramble he made where he converted, I believe it was a 3rd down. He has moments, just not enough of them. I don't know how else to, like, it's just not good enough, man. When's the last time this guy's passed for 150 yards? I'm not trying to blame him. There's just a lot more wrong other than him in this team, but he's not helping the case either. It's just across the board. It's just shit.
Yeah, I think early on, like I said in this stream before, I think that early in the season, Jacoby wasn't the reason they were losing. And I think he was playing well past his limitations. I think now he's missing wide open receivers. There were several times, especially in this game, that we saw Jacoby with wide open receiver, like on a 3rd down, a wide open receiver, or at least just take a shot at the 1st down hash. And what he's doing instead is he's dumping it off to an easy check down to Ramondre Stevenson or Antonio Gibson, and they're behind the line of scrimmage with 2-3 defenders closing in on them, and then they're getting stopped at or behind the line on a 3rd down. It's like, dude, take a shot. Take a shot in front of the 1st down, and let's try to convert this thing. Don't go behind the line.
But then again, the offensive line's not holding up. So, like, it's just like really, it's such just an accumulation. It's just an accumulation. It's just like as if we couldn't get more shit. You get even more shit. So it's like he's not a good quarterback, but guess what? We knew that. We knew he was just basically a play setter for he's one of those dummies you put in a car that slams into a fucking wall. That's what he is right now. He's just literally there so Drake Maye doesn't get hurt. But even so, I don't even know if I want to put Drake out there. At this point, I just don't know. I'm at a loss for words. And I know I've made so many freaking excuses for this team. I'm sorry. I've made so many. The beginning of the stream is just like a roller coaster at this point. If you go to rewind this, I look like I'm so calm and collected, and now I'm just literally crashing out.
It's tough, right? It's tough because I feel like if Drake Maye plays this game, he ends up winning it. But Drake May's internal clock isn't going to be sped up.
Exactly. At what cost?
Jacoby Brissett's internal clock is being screwed up because of the Patriots' offensive line, like we saw from Mac Jones, like we saw from Bailey Zappi. And that's the last thing that you want from Drake Maye. You got to think longevity. Is Drake Maye coming in right now going to help the Patriots long term? Probably not. It's going to help them right now. But if his internal clock gets sped up, like Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, and now Jacoby Brissett, then you're screwed because right now, like I said, he is seeing ghosts. He is seeing things that's not there. Even if the offensive line is giving him 5 seconds to block, he still thinks that he has 1.5 to 2 seconds to pass because that's consistently what they've given him over 50% of the time that he's dropping back so far through 4 weeks. And that is the problem. Yes, I think Drake Maye will be better at hitting wide open receivers and making the better reads. But at the end of the day, if he has his internal clock getting sped up like these other quarterbacks we've seen from bad offensive line plays here in New England, then you're ruining your quarterback, and it's hard for those guys to come back.
It's not just the bad offensive lines at New England. He had to deal with this in college, and I don't know if I want him to deal with that again. But now we're at some type of crossroads, at least eventually. When do we start him? When? Because look, man, he's going to have to eventually get some snaps under him. I'm just scared. I'm scared because this is such a critical decision. It's so critical because we saw when Joe Burrow was fed to the Wolves in Cincinnati when his offensive line was basically dog shit. And he got his ACL tear, right? If I'm not mistaken, it was 3-13. It was still 16 game seasons, if I'm not mistaken. That team finished 3-13, but they lost him because he had an ACL tear. We're in such a, like, I don't know kind of phase where it's like, okay, what do we do here? Do we put him out there? When do we put him out there? I'm just happy I don't have to make the decision because this is just like, I don't know, man, because I think the wide receivers are good. I think the offensive line is not getting enough time, giving Jacoby Brissett enough time. I just think that I don't also want to give him a comparable offensive line. I mean, go look at UNC when he was out there. He had his offensive line coach was replaced 2 years in a row. He had one of the worst offensive lines in college football. Basically, no receivers to throw to. I mean, outside of I think Tez Walker, who was drafted in the 5th round by the Baltimore Ravens, and he had Josh Downs for a cup of coffee. I don't know if I want to do that again with him. I don't want to speed up it because my biggest thing is one thing I can hang my hat on with AVP. His mechanics looks a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, just for a quick reference, I know people were asking Christian Gonzalez today, and we'll do this every week. Everybody likes the Gonzo updates because like the only thing we
do
got.
Something at this point.
It's one. So today he had 1 reception, 6 total tackles versus Tyreek Hill, 4 targets, 3 catches allowed, 34 total yards, and a pass breakup. Against Jalen Waddle, he was 3 targets, 1 catch allowed, 11 total yards. So that's give or take roughly about 45 total yards on the day with an interception. And like I said, that should have been 3. So another good day against what was the number 1 overall player in the NFL from last season. So
against 2 of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL, and he's basically in his rookie year. Like Gonzo didn't get a full rookie year, and this is now 9 games into his career. That's impressive. There you go. There's our silver lining. Thank you, Colby, for bringing that up. Thank you, chat, for bringing that up.
Got you, brother. Shout out to my boy SGT Moonshine coming in with a $5 donation. Said, "You're all good, Rob. Just expressing what we were all feeling." Hey, man, that's what we're here
here's
for.
The thing, man. I do feel bad talking like this. It's very bad. You should never talk like this, especially when we're supposed to be a representation of what's professional. I don't feel good talking like this, but I'm at the point where I love this team so much, and I want this team to succeed so much. But it's just, it's a lot because we've all had to deal with this crap for four years prior to this.
Yeah. What was I going to get into? Sorry, like totally dozed out there for a second. To me, when it comes to these running backs, I thought that these running backs were actually very good today. I was upset that they didn't run them more. Weeks 1 and weeks 2, Ramondre had just over averaging 20 total carries per game. We've really jumped away from that since that game against the Jets. I feel like the Patriots are trying to pass the ball more, and I understand why, and I understand that these receivers are frustrated, and they didn't come here to just block on every play, but that's the identity of your team. You're a run-first, run-centric offense. That is how you're going to be successful. You don't have the offensive line or the quarterback to be able to pass for 300 yards, to get the most out of your receivers, and ever since they tried to really start implementing these receivers a lot more, their offense has taken more of a hit because they're not running the ball as much. Ramondre Stevenson, 12 total attempts in this game, obviously got injured late in the 4th quarter. Hopefully he's okay. They need him. They cannot afford to lose him. Yet another player. But 89 total yards. He was averaging 7.4 yards per carry and a touchdown. Antonio Gibson, 6 attempts, 52 yards. He was averaging 8.7 yards on average. Why the Patriots didn't run the ball more when it was so effective and efficient? The game was close really the entire game. You were leading for the majority of the game too. Why they didn't run the ball more is mind-boggling to me. It's part of why they didn't dominate time of possession. No matter who the quarterback is, no matter who the offensive weapons are in the opposing offense, your goal as an offense should be to stay on the field as long as possible, keep your defense rejuvenated, keep your defense good to go, and keep the opposing offense off the field so that they just don't have the opportunity to score points. And that's just not what the Patriots did. Why? Because they wanted to pass the ball a lot more. Jacoby Brissett, there was no reason. And this comes down to Alex Van Pelt. This comes down to why against one of the worst rushing teams in the league. You know, they're not a good rushing defense, the Miami Dolphins.
No Jalen Phillips, by the way.
No Jalen Phillips. And no Jordan Poyer. Why did you decide?
Holland went out too, by the way, at one point in the game.
Why did you decide we're barely going to run the ball, but against one of the best secondaries in the NFL, led by Jalen Ramsey, we're going to throw the ball 34 times? The game plan just made absolutely no sense to me. Again, Ramondre Stevenson averaging 7.4 yards on the ground. Gibson averaging 8.7. That is enough to win you this game, but they went away from the run game just to make these wide receivers happy, Rob.
What's crazy, and I said this after week 1, I apologize, Antonio Gibson. I'll keep on going back to that. It seems like every game this guy rips off at least a 20-yard run. That's just like in Gibson.
Yeah, 24.
That 24-yard run was pretty awesome. I don't know, man. Like, we weren't playing from behind. We were ahead. It was 10-9. They were At one point in time, don't quote me, I believe they had only converted 1 third down going into the fourth quarter until they started, like, I think it was like 5 minutes left. Like, I wish I had this written down, this stat. But at one point we had converted more third downs. There was so many opportunities for us to win this game, and it just sucks because it's like we're just like known for, at this point, just shooting ourselves in the foot, and it was against a team that, like I said, man, I keep on going back to it, and it's crazy, but 33 points in 4 games.
Yeah, and then for me, as for these receivers here, Demario Douglas leads the Patriots in receiving yards again, 59 total yards. He was also the most targeted wide receiver for the Patriots today with 9 targets. Kayshon Boutte, I think, is getting better and better. I mean, he's better than Tyquan Thornton. He's better than Tyquan Thornton at this point, which is why you see the Patriots shopping.
You know what's crazy though? I seen a stat. Tyquan Thornton has less catches after week 2 than Jared Goff.
That's rough.
Jared Goff has 1 catch.
I was about to say, doesn't he have 1 from last week?
And you know what's also another crazy stat? Do you know what negatives that Tyquan Thornton has a 19% negative separation rate?
That's wild. I don't know how that's possible.
Jalen Polk has, just to put in perspective, Jalen Polk has, going into this game, was 0.
That's not bad. Is that EPA?
I don't know the stat exact.
I forget
where I found it. I think it's from Fantasy Data Stats or something on Twitter that I found it.
EPA,
but
yeah.
He has I think it's 19.7 or 19. It's like anywhere between 19.1 19.7 negative separation rate. So basically, that 4 point. I said this a long time ago that that 4.28 speed is nice in shorts and t-shirt, but doesn't show up on the field.
Yeah, it's definitely time to get rid of him. But Kayshon Boutte, second in receiving yards for the Patriots today. 2 targets.
I think he needs to get more. I think he needs to get more play time, man. Kayshon Boutte. It's been a couple of times I've seen him get some plays that are just critical for us.
Yeah, and if he keeps performing this way, he might end up getting the nod over KJ Osborne, who's been dealing with injuries. But, we could talk about Hunter. We can talk about Jalen Polk. I mean, Jalen Polk, 6 targets, 1 reception, 13 yards. Obviously, one in the end zone was very, very close.
One drop that hit him in the chest, but
oh yeah, that drop too. That was bad. He has to turn around and make that play. But do you want to talk about what your thoughts were on that touchdown?
Man, at this point, I would love to hear how the rule and the context of how that's supposed to be called a touchdown. There's been too many times I've seen that particular thing where someone toe taps, not both feet, but like they put one down and then the other one, like basically the toe hits, and that they call it a touchdown. I mean, if you go into Instagram or YouTube comment section and you see it and people are starting to stick up for the Patriots, that should tell you enough. But Colby, I'm assuming you're going to tell me how it's supposed to be, the context of it.
I went off on Bleacher Report, and I was just like, I said I have to look back. I'm not 100% sure what was what, but they were pretty confident that it wasn't a touchdown. But I was like, I remember in 2017, the Patriots season opener against the Houston Texans, Tom Brady and Brandon Cooks. I want to say James Cook, Brandon Cooks, and back of the end zone gets his toe tapped, flies out.
No. Both his feet were. That was a toe. That was basically it wasn't. I don't know if it was a drag.
I remember he had both in.
He planted both feet, but they were both his feet. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was
Wasn't it a toe? What didn't he tap his toe?
But they were both together. That's why. So
I know that the rule for the NFL is that you don't have to have them together at the same time, but you have to get both in. And that was my thing, that I was like, okay, then he had one.
Touchdown then.
He had one, he had the other. And I was like, wait, I'm confused on how that's not a touchdown. And then Alex Barth kind of tweeted out what the rule is supposed to be. And now it makes sense on why. But by the way, this is on the league. Like, the fact that nobody knows what a touchdown is, nobody knows what a catch is anymore because they're changing the rules. That's on the league to figure this out. But this is what Barth had to say. So this is coming from Article 7 of the NFL rulebook regarding what isn't and is a catch. So regarding what isn't a catch, so it says, if any
send me that after this.
I got you, bro. He says, if any part of the foot hits out of bounds during the normal continuous motion of taking a step, so your heel toe or toe heel, then the football is out of bounds. A player is in bounds if he drags his foot or if there is a delay between the heel toe or toe heel touching the ground. So basically, it was how he touched it, right? So let's say, so you saw how he kind of went like this, Rob. He had to do like a 360 and come back to the ball. So essentially, his back was to the end zone. So if this is the end zone and his back is to the end zone, he went up and did like a 360 or a 180 in order to adjust to the ball and make the catch. Let's say he did over the shoulder. So let's say he did over the shoulder and then dragged his toes, it would have been a touchdown. But because he caught it this way and his heel went out of bounds afterwards, because his heel was technically out of bounds, that's why. But if he was faced this way and did over the shoulders and his heel was in bounds and he dragged his toes, it would have counted.
Oh, that's crazy. That like it's that many like.
If you toe tap and you get both toes in bounds, it should count.
That was it should count. Why is it the direction of it? I'm sorry, I got so many dogs in here that want to be on my lap, and the only reason I'm keep bringing them up here, guys, is so they can keep calm. But the context of the rule is 2 feet, right? 2 feet. Why is it that like I feel like every time there's something that like we get a touchdown or whatever, N'Keal Harry, Raiders game, I forget what damn receiver. Like it just seems to come back and bite us, and then we don't get the damn touchdown, or the touchdown's not reversed. Like at this point, like I don't know what to catch. So if he catches it like this, it would have been a touchdown.
So yeah, so basically,
how many times have you seen other teams where they toe tap, just like not just both at the same time? I mean, like boom, boom, and they call it a touchdown. So why are we just like blurring the lines of what is a touchdown, what is not a touchdown? Like it's just constantly, okay, for whatever the moment is, this is a touchdown. Okay, this is not a touchdown. No, like it just seems like it's just every other week there's something else it's just like the PI calls with the Chiefs. It's like, is that a PI or not a PI?
So basically, if this is, let's say this right here, man, this is the back of the end zone, and this is where he was. I'm trying to do this at the same time. This is actually very difficult.
I was just trying to see what that was. Thank you for explaining that. Okay,
shout out to the teachers, man. I don't know how the hell they do this. But let's say this is out of bounds, and so then like this right here, that's Jalen Polk. So he, bro,
this is such a shit show, bro.
So what? Bad. So he basically, his heel was faced out of bounds. So let's say that he went this way to shit.
Let me get my pen. I'm gonna take notes because I don't know what the fuck a touchdown is.
Let's say that he went this way to catch the ball and he extended his hands and he went and did this. And so his hands would be out of the end zone, but he dragged his toes. It would be a touchdown.
Okay, 1 second. Let me write that down.
But
I got this. Where is it? Can you see it?
BS. Yeah. There you go. Because bullshit. He turned around.
It's bullshit. That's what it is. It's bullshit.
Because he turned around and his back was to the end zone and his heel was out, but his toe tapped. No. His whole foot had to come in bounds. So it's pretty much based off of the angle, for like lack of better words. I know that was a lot.
Can I say something? Do you know? I think I said this in one of my things with House Call Sports. I feel like referees should have a post game where they explain why. Just imagine trying to rattle them a little bit and see like what, because they'll slip up just like every player does. Explain to me why this was called the way it was. Go on.
Yeah, sometimes we hear about it the next day.
And not even just that. I want to see you get fined. Like if a player does something wrong, I want to see you get fined.
Yeah, sometimes we hear about it the next day. So I'll be curious to see if the league does say anything about this. But before we bring on the Patreon members and we get their reactions on what happened, I want to give another massive shout out to the sponsors of this video over at BetUS. When you guys sign up for BetUS on their website or use their mobile app, they have it for iOS and Android. You sign up, takes less than 60 seconds, and you use the the promo code YouTube150, like you see on the screen, you guys can get a 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125% sign up bonus on your next 2 deposits, all the way up to $2,000. That is a deal, again, on your first 3 deposits that you put in when you sign up today and use that code YouTube150. This is a limited time exclusive offer that is just going to give you some extra fun for the upcoming football season. It's not going to be here forever. So if you are of legal age, you're smart, you're responsible, and you want to have a little bit of extra fun, make sure you guys go ahead and check out BetUS. Make sure to support the channel. Everyone that supports the sponsors that support the channel is going a massive way at supporting me here at Patriots Global. We could absolutely not be here without the sponsors of these videos, and that is an important thing, of course, to remember. If you or anybody you know or love is dealing with a gambling issue, please reach out and get the help you need. In fact, if you go to BetUS's website, they have a page dedicated to getting that free help that you need, which is absolutely awesome by them. Play smart, play responsible, never bet more than you can afford to lose. But again, shout out to my buddies over at BetUS. But let's get into our first Patreon members. And I see we got a new guy in here. And I want to bring him in first. That is my boy SGT Moonshine, who donated a little bit earlier on, Rob. That was this one. So, buddy, how you doing today?
Hey, what's going on, Colby? How you doing, man?
You know, bro, I could be doing a little better. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it could also be worse. It could be worse. You're keeping me in line a little bit. So I need
a freaking IV after all the damn freaking. I don't know what I just got drained out of me. I need an IV.
Yeah, I didn't personally myself get a chance to watch the game. I was watching the Panthers and Bengals game with my grandmother.
Brother. Okay, so go watch Bake. I mean, you probably have a better. What's that one painter? Go watch him paint. You know the one with the afro.
You'll have a better time.
But yeah. You, man, if you want to keep your mental capacity,
my mental state's kind of shot from watching that from the Panthers Bears game. So I mean, yeah, they had all sorts of mistakes as well.
I think what it is, man, is I got ahead of myself, man. I actually thought we were gonna win this game. And up until this game,
I did too.
Up until this game, I was like, okay, I know what to expect from this team. We're in a rebuild, but we have every reason why we should have won this game.
And we should have, man. I came in fully thinking that we were going to win that game, and then hearing you guys talking about all the mistakes and all, like, so this is going to be my first point I bring up. And I mean, maybe you guys say that the decision we made throughout the draft was the better one, but I'm going to take us back a little bit. Going back to the draft, I was in the firm philosophy that how we had that whole split, or like it was either trade the number 3 pick or use that pick for what we know now as Drake Maye. Why did we not use that third round pick or that third overall pick, trade it with the Vikings who had 2 first round picks, and use that to shore up our offensive line? Our, in my opinion, weakest link on our team at that point. Because I just felt like if we could shore up our offensive line, and instead of giving Jacoby Brissett that 1-year deal, give him maybe a 2-year deal to give us time to figure things out, we could have had the offensive line a little bit better and have a better offensive overall offensive team where we could actually get a better quarterback and be in a better situation than we are now.
I think it's because when you look at the preceding QB classes ranked comparative to this one, I mean, brother, you can get offensive linemen in every draft. You can get wide receivers in every draft. I mean, there's no recipe, but to nail a franchise quarterback comparative to the other positions, like you can go pay for a wide receiver. You can go pay for an offensive lineman. Good luck getting a starting quarterback.
Yeah, but then going back to how kind of like Colby, and you had said, or well, maybe it just been Colby that said it. If we were to say like, send out Drake Maye, saying next week, if we were to just send him out there, we're getting tired of seeing Jacoby, we send Drake Maye out there. Put him out there for the rest of the season, because obviously you put him out there, you can't really pull him out unless you have a very, very good reason in doing so. You put him out there, he's out there behind that offensive line that's getting banged up, getting hurt, getting injured. His internal clock will start getting sped up. He's going to see phantom pressure. He's going to get all messed up, and then we have another Mac Jones.
I don't think you're going to get that. And the reason why I say that is what I said earlier in this live, where he had basically the worst line in like college football. But and just because Mac Jones didn't have the mental fortitude to be able to handle, and I think it's not so much his clock I'm worried about. It's the mechanics that the AVP has built up until this point that he has worked on. I apologize, the dog's growling in the background. They're playing, but
you're good.
What AVP has worked on, and we've seen the practice clips. He looks solid. His footwork looks solid. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about him being not able to handle pressure or his internal clock speeding up. Because if you go, I mean, like I said, his offensive line coach was replaced 2 years in a row. There, historically, one of the worst offensive lines in college football. It was terrible, and he was throwing to nobodies. Like the current constituted wide receiver core that he has right now is his best wide receiver core he would have. Like I said, I think that the only thing I'm concerned about is that all the mechanics that we've worked on where his footwork looks clean in the pocket, if he starts to regress back to those that what the draft profile that he had, where people were saying, oh, well, his footwork is bad or this, that, and the other. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but that's basically how I see it.
Yeah, you're good. And I kind of got the idea on where you're going with that, and I was kind of in that headspace too. My only take on that, and this could be a bit of a stretch on my part, but the way I see that college and NFL defenses are two different things. When you enter the NFL defense is a different type of beast. You're coming up against defenses that are smarter, faster, stronger, more athletic, better training, better health. It's a entire level up, and you put in a rookie QB who, yes, had that struggle in college. He knows how to deal with it, but you're going up against the best the NFL has. Well, for some teams, the best that the NFL has to offer, and it just worries me a little bit. And it could be some what do you want to call it? PTSD from Mac Jones. I just don't want to see that again.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, Colby, but I think one thing that we need to realize that the one thing that Mac Jones had is he had been broken down to the point of not being able to handle it. And I think the thing that separates Mac Jones and Drake Maye, for obvious reasons, is the attributes that, from a physical standpoint, that Drake Maye has. But there's really no wrong answer in this. I completely agree that, like, throwing him out there, I'm comparing a college offensive line to a NFL offensive line, and we don't know. Maybe someone's point of view changes. I get you. So you're not wrong. I'm not wrong. Really, it's just you don't want to make this a trend and have him have another bad offensive line, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Continuing from college.
Yeah.
Great point.
And it could be a complete flip side. He could go out there and he could be moving around that offensive line. He could be moving around the pocket. He could evade. He could be making plays that we just haven't seen in a while. I mean, you just never really know, I guess.
I will say this, and this maybe me, I'm just hanging my hat on this because maybe the Jets were just playing basically prevent. I don't know what defense they were lined up in, but I will say this. The only positive drive against the Jets, and I know I'm going back to this because the only reason I'm going back to this because this is the one drive that we got to see Drake Maye play out there. And I know the first pass was literally mind-shuddering, but the passes preceding that and what he made preceding that, he was the only quarterback to get us within the red zone.
Yeah,
so
but
that's one positive I can draw from it.
But anyway, SGT, we got to get on to these other Patreon members, buddy. I appreciate you for joining. I appreciate you for coming on. And I hope, buddy,
I appreciate being here, man. Appreciate being here.
Hey, man. Well, we'll see you later on. We'll see you next week. We'll see you next time we let on Patreon members. If it's not next week, it'll be before then. So if we don't see you before then we will see you, me and Rob, next Sunday when we play the Houston Texans. So shout out to my boy SGT Moonshot for joining us on the Patreon. If you guys want to get on, make sure link in the description box below to join. Let's get into our stats guy here. Tom, how are we doing? Is there anything that I should know about?
I said this in the chat probably an hour ago. Do I want to say the pass blocking snaps, or do I want to save Rob from losing his absolute mind?
I think I'm a little bit calmer now. I think I think what it is I really was trying to play both sides of the coin, man. And then I was like, you know what? I was trying to think it from a positive standpoint. Then the real Rob came out in terms of like my mental just breakdown.
No, and you're completely understandable. I mean, this has just been. It's another one of those cases of recent
We're
Patriots
really trying to
football
find
where
a
they
positive.
snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. You have opportunities to win the game. You can't do it. You got to get a stop. You can't get it. You got to get a first down. Can't get it.
I'm ready to hurt. Tell me the stats.
All right. Here are your final pass blocking stats for the Patriots, according to Next Gen Stats. So, fun fact, Vidarian Lowe had his best pass blocking grade out of all of the Patriots offensive linemen today per PFF. Oh. So, he had 36 pass blocking snaps. He only allowed 3 pressures, and he did allow a sack. But his average time to pressure was just over 4 seconds.
Wow.
So part of me wonders if that's on Vidarian or if it's on Jacoby holding the ball and just not making. Then you get to Michael.
4 seconds.
So again, he had 36 pass blocking snaps, 3 pressures given up. He gave up a sack, but the average time that he allowed before giving up a pressure, according to Next Gen Stats, was 4.13 seconds.
That's bizarre. Jacoby was hanging on to the ball a lot this game, dude.
That's great. 4 seconds?
4.13 seconds.
Jacoby was really hanging on to the ball in this game, though.
Yeah. So once you get to the 4-second mark, you start to wonder how much of it is the offensive line and how much of it is the quarterback just being conservative and kind of being scared to take risks. I suppose that's what I wonder. But getting on to left guard Michael Jordan, who played again today. He also had 36 pass blocking snaps. He gave up 2 pressures. His average time to pressure was 4.05 seconds. So again, he was probably the second best lineman on Michael that Jordan's line today.
A dog, dude. He's been even in the preseason, he was their best pass blocking offensive lineman. He's a dog.
He really has been. He's exceeded my expectations because I know a couple of Bengals fans and they were like, dude, you do not want Michael Jordan starting. But that's probably where the good of it ends. You go on to center Nick Leverett. He also had 36 pass blocking snaps. He allowed 8 pressures and a single sack. His average time to pressure, 2.66 seconds.
Yeah, he had a rough game.
It was not a good game for Leverett. But here's what disappointed me even more. Right guard Michael Onwenu. 36 pass blocking snaps, 7 pressures given up, 2.56 second average time to pressure.
Wow.
I understand it was his first game back from being a guard, from being a tackle, but what can you say about that? I mean, it was not a good game for Mike, and you paid him all that money. I mean, you would hope he would somewhat play like the all-pro guard that people say he is.
Yeah, that was a disappointment.
Very big disappointment. And then DeMontre Jacobs, who you played at left tackle last week. Now you're playing at right tackle, which is already a big ask for him to change sides like that. 36 pass blocking snaps. He only gave up 4 pressures, true, but his average time to pressure, which is, again, their way of saying how much time are you allowing before the guy beats you and gets in the quarterback's immediate area? 2.48 seconds.
Can I just say something? Yeah, I know it's rough, but that's enough. That's pretty much the average time that you should be able to have the ball out. So they're giving him time.
It seems like he's getting time, yes. So part of me wonders how much of it is on Jacoby and how much is it on the protection? Because
I think we saw that today.
In the end, and I wrote this down here, they allowed 24 pressures on 36 pass blocking snaps, which is 66.7%, in addition to the 2 sacks. So, yeah, they're giving up pressure left and right, but at the same time, you got to get the ball out too, because there were a few plays today where I was wondering, Jacoby, what are you doing, buddy? You got to get that ball out. You got to at least try something. I know you're kind of afraid to make a stupid mistake, but how much is being too cautious?
We're 1-3. Make the stupid mistake, please. Just throw that. What did just chuck that fucker.
I wonder what they do, dude, because I mean, this is the first time that we saw Onwenu back from right tackle to right guard. And ironically, a few days ago, we heard, I forget who was, one of the coaches talk about how they do, I believe it was Scott Peters who said that they believe that Onwenu is an all-pro guard and a good tackle. And they do want to get him back to guard ideally at some point. Ironically, a few days later, they get Michael Onwenu back to guard. I wonder if at some point we see Onwenu back, if he continues to play like this, if he goes back out to tackle, just to kind of give them a little bit better than what they're getting from DeMontre Jacobs. And then you have, City So come and rep back in at right guard where he played really good down the stretch last year. And maybe that ends up being their offensive line combination for the remainder of the season. But they got to find something. They got to
find a consistent five.
Exactly. They got to build
continuity is critical.
Drake Maye in. Exactly.
When it comes to, and you've said it a million times, PG, over the years.
But
when you want.
Based off those stats, man, that's enough time to throw the football. That's like average time, 2.5 seconds. That should be an average time. That means we're just not getting the ball out quick enough.
Yeah, and going back to the going back to the next gen stats, they have quick pressures. So in addition to regular pressures, they have what's called quick pressure. So if it's really quick, they're getting to the quarterback within an unreasonable amount of time, they count that. Leverett had 3 of them. Onwenu had 3 of them. And DeMontre Jacobs had 2 of them.
Yeah, interesting fact here. The average time to throw for an NFL quarterback is 2.5 seconds. Anything longer is considered.
What did I just say, man?
I know. Looking at the stats, he has time. So, but I do worry that he's constantly under pressure, and it's going to, like PG said earlier in the stream, it's going to mess up his internal clock, because when you're constantly, like I said, 67% of the time people are getting pressure on the quarterback. How long can you take it until your internal clock gets messed up to the point that you're making stupid errors like Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi did last year?
There was a couple throws during the game, I think, that were check downs to the running back in the flat. And I was like, basically just a pitch off, throw it to the side where the flat is. And I was like, maybe if you just let this develop. And he didn't look like he was really getting pressured. But I guess that all stems back to the whole thought process of when we versed the 49ers and Jets, where it was probably a quicker pressure, and it sped up his. I don't know.
I get it, Robert. We're saying the same things week after week. I mean, what is the definition of insanity?
But you're saying 2.5 seconds, and it's funny. Before PG brought that up, I was like, wait a second, 2.5 seconds, and I heard the pressures and all that stuff. But before you mentioned it, PG, I was like, wait, 2.5 seconds. That's a normal time.
Yeah,
that's a normal time. So I'm not losing my mind by thinking this. I was like, wait a second, 2.5. He should have the ball out.
And then if you look at the PFF stats, because I actually have a PFF Ultimate account as well, Jacoby Brissett's average time to throw was 2.71 seconds, just a little under Tyler Huntley, who was 2.73 seconds.
Wow. So nonetheless, it's not maybe as bad as we originally thought. And at the end of the day, when we're talking about how bad offensive lines are, PFF doesn't necessarily take into account the quarterbacks and if they're holding on to the ball and what that means. They're just talking about pressures and sacks.
That is just time to throw. And I'm not, and those stats I gave you earlier were not from PFF. I know they're very weird about how they determine pressures. This is from Next Gen Stats, which is literally the chips that are on the players' uniforms.
I think if we can just draw something from this, you said 2.71 seconds. Forget all the stats. That is the stat that I'm thinking about. He just mentioned 2.5 seconds is the average time. So they're giving him time. He's just not getting the ball out. He's holding it.
It's really something to think about. It's one of the many things.
The offensive line probably still not great. There were some plays that he did extend with his legs. Don't get me wrong. And I'm trying to figure out when is the breakdown and when Is it when he passes the line of scrimmage that they just cut it off? I
Yeah,
don't know.
it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. No. And I mean, he wasn't perfect, but like I said earlier, I think we're finally seeing Jacoby is hanging on to the ball a little bit. And where early on in the season it was worse. Maybe now they're figuring it out a little bit more, but we're not giving it as much credit, because he is hanging on to the ball a little too long. And that's definitely skewing some of these statistics a little bit. But Tom, buddy, we appreciate you so much for coming
absolutely.
on in, us our stats
You're
again.
Awesome, Tom.
Better see you next week against the Texans, because
let's hope we're not as angry next week. Really, let's just hope we're not.
That's gonna be a rough game, bro.
I gotta say again, I really do apologize, Colby. I feel bad. Like I don't. No, I don't. No,
I gotta give you guys credit where it is due. You come in, week out, and cover this team.
We're trying. We're trying, man. We're trying. It's very hard.
Anybody could just easily say, "The heck with this. I'm done with this team." But you don't say that. You cover the team. You stick with your team. Because that's just how it is.
And we try to draw the silver lining, and people are just like, well, you're delusion. You're making
we do our job, baby. But Tom, buddy, we appreciate you, and I want to see you next week, because I want to hear what is going on with them Dan Houston Texans, because they got a hell of a pass rush, and that scares me. But let's go ahead and let's bring on our final two guys. I want to bring on DTN and Neil together, because I know that they both want to rant. They both want to get some things off their chest. And so let's give them the floor to talk about it. DTM, buddy, let's start with you.
That was a piss-poor performance on the Patriots. I have never been this furious in a long time.
Last year.
Penalty. We had one good play, like, for example, a rush from Gibson or a play to Douglas. And then we shoot ourselves in the foot with a holding call. Man, at this point, I don't know if I want to call it now, where I have to yell at Elliott Wolf for not upgrading our goddamn offensive line. Jeez Louise. I've never been this pissed about several holding calls on the Patriots offensive line. And then Keon White. Why would you cost 15-yard penalties twice? I've never been this pissed at Jerron Mayo for not disciplining our players when we're supposed to have good plays afterwards. Yeah, you have to be good with tackling, but not recklessly to the point that the referees will throw flags if you're not handling it correctly. I've never been this pissed. And also Jacoby. I'm sorry, Jacoby, but your time is ticking, man. I can't believe his performance is even worse than the last two games. I don't know what to say now. I've never been this pissed before. I wanted to do it a lot earlier, but there were moments where I had to be quiet. So this was a perfect opportunity to give my little rant after this shit show where we had opportunities to win with these gifts, the botched snap, that blocked punt, that interception from Gonzalez. Wish he had more. Thank goodness we finally got an interception out of him. But please, for the love of God, we need to do a better job. And there's no way we're going to be successful against Houston. Jeez.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. I mean, they put up, I think it was week 2, might have been week 3, but I believe it was week 2. They put up historically good pass rushing metrics, NFL all time. So, I mean, that's going to be a really hard pass rush for the Patriots to go up against that the Houston Texans have. Danielle Hunter, obviously a dog. They got a couple of other guys on that defensive line too. Their linebackers, their exotic blitzes. D'Amico Ryans is just a guy that knows how to cue things up. And we saw that today. We saw that today when they beat the Buffalo Bills. And the Buffalo Bills are a very good team. They're one of the top teams in the NFL right now, and the Texans were able to still beat them. So it's going to be a rough one. The Texans always play hard. They always play hard in the trenches too. And I definitely don't feel good. I definitely don't feel good about that game, especially with how good that offense is too. But hopefully we're able to get Peppers back. We're able to get Duggar back because they're going to need them against Nico Collins and Tank Dell. And I was going to say Stephon Diggs. That's not it. No, it is, right? Yeah, Stephon Diggs. I think it's Stephon Gilmore sometimes. But Neil, what were your thoughts on this game, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I got really pissed. This is like more pissed than last season. I don't know, this game, It's the freaking Dolphins, PG. I rather would took a 30-0 loss to the Jets. Okay, the Dolphins with Huntley, bro. Every bit of this is just wild how we even got here, man. That ending with Polk, that was a touchdown, toe tap drag. Everyone forgot about it because we just goddamn changed the angle now. No, it's because of the Patriots. Sick and tired of this crap, bro. That was a touchdown. But before we even get to that, it's like Jacoby had time and time again with the defense giving the ball back, and this man could not get a touchdown through, bro. Like there was problems with Polk when he dropped some, or Pop when he dropped a touchdown or a bigger first down catch he should have had. But there are times with Jacoby, bro, why are you taking the sack? Or why don't you throw it away? Or why don't you go throw it to that short route? Why are you throwing screens? And then why are we running these types of plays? It got so aggravating, bro. We couldn't do anything. It was 10-9. Like, how much can you keep on holding? But then the defense also got gash in between. When you have cross routes, you get gash. Bro, Houston, I'm going to watch this game, but I'm not expecting us going beyond 10 points. I'm just telling you right now, this is what they do best. I've seen the whole Bills game today. They were gashing them through the middle. They were literally just gashing the living Jesus out of them with their second receiver. And then later on, their number one receiver got involved. So they was just gashing the whole crap out of them. That's what's going to happen with us. And the run game, horrible, the run defense. I don't know what went on there. Gonzo is Gonzo, man. I freaking love this dude. The way he does. That's a bright spot. The other bright spot is, hey, Pop did get more yards. Polk, that catch to me is a touchdown, so he's getting doing a lot more, and I'm very, very happy for him. Boutte finally got involved. uh we need to get something going with this offense. This is not good to me, honestly. This O-line looked better than what it did in the previous weeks. Sure, it still has a lot to fix, but definitely look better. Appreciate Tom for bringing up the stats. It helps so much more. But in that case, honestly, I wasn't the one to wanting Maye to start earlier. I really didn't. I rather preferred him to stay sitting, but by the Jazz game, I really like him to start. I don't see Jacoby moving this much anywhere with this offense, bro. There's nothing there. Mayo needs to learn how to discipline his players as well. Like, I'm not gonna forget about that. This whole penalty stuff, and even beyond that, are you benching? Like, are we putting Ramondre back, or are we not doing that? Or with White, what is going on here?
I agree with you, Neil. Also, I watched that YouTube preview show with Scott Zolak and Jerron Mayo, and the one thing I heard from Mayo is Brissett is the only chance for us to win.
Bro, he said
we have been losing 4 fucking games since that Cincinnati game.
He's just saying that, man. I'll be honest with you, he's just gonna say that just so he doesn't have a reason to throw Drake Maye out there, because we've seen what happened when he comments a little bit about Drake Maye and says how Drake Maye won the battle, the QB battle, and people were up in arms about it. So now he's just lying to us, guy. Like you know that, DTN. He's just literally just lying to us.
Yeah. Compared to what Bill Belichick does in his press conferences, we understand, like, we're on to Cincinnati just so that, or we shall see whenever it comes to like who's gonna be the starting quarterback. At this point, he just needs to just say, "Hey, listen, Jacoby Brissett is our starting quarterback until I say he's not." That's it. Don't like, and just when people say we're on to fucking Houston, we're on to Houston. More like literally just do that. We're on to Houston. When someone says something, we're on to Houston. Because guess what? At least they got nothing. They got nothing.
I don't know why he doesn't do that. He keeps going back and forth for some reason, and he's stuck now.
He just wants to be transparent. I think if I had to play devil's advocate with this, because at this point my head's hurting playing this devil advocate bullshit, is the fact that he wants to be perceived as somebody that will be open to things. When the outside lens is looking out on him, the players and whatever else is out there, that the free agents that will be coming into, that he wants to be perceived as somebody that's open. The problem is, how open are you going to be, Gerard Mayo? You're being way too fucking open.
Also, I got a message for the fan base. Who is dumb enough to think that we're going to draft Travis Hunter? You're just basically saying we're going to get the best guy and not upgrade our O-line. Congratulations to some of you idiots who don't know football.
Well, we can't. I wouldn't go as far as saying someone's idiots about that, man. I think what it is let's see what happens when it comes to free agency. Who knows who becomes available, and it could be a left tackle, which is very rare, but who knows, man? We could go trade for a left tackle. I don't know, but like we can't be saying someone's idiots, man. Yeah. But I don't think Travis Hunter's coming here either.
Well, guys, we really appreciate DTN, Neil, for coming in. Hopefully, we'll be able to do another type of video here during the week before the actual game day here for Week 6 against the Houston Texans. And we can have the Patreon members back on. But if not, we will definitely see you guys next Sunday against, or rather, I should say, after our game against the Houston Texans. So shout out again to DTN. Shout out to Neil. Make sure you guys also hit that like button. 100 likes is our like button goal. It really helps support us. Want to get into a last few super chats before we log off here for the day. My boy Ice VSP80 coming in with a $5 donation. By the way, bro made like this crazy edit of me. It was the dopest thing I ever saw. So shout out to him for that. He said, I thought Matt Patricia was a good offensive coordinator, but I could be wrong. I think Bill O'Brien is a bad offensive coordinator, but I could be wrong. Both sucked. Both sucked. I can promise you that. Which one was worse, though? Both were in different circumstances, so it's kind of hard.
Patricia was worse because at least with O'Brien, he has something to hang his hat on. But then again, he didn't have.
They were also different, like personnels, so it's kind of hard. It's kind of
just shit to shit. But one thing I will say is that Bill O'Brien's doing a hell of a job with Boston College. So I will say that I'll hang my hat on Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, it was a very dysfunctional locker room last year, is what I'll say. And he wasn't happy with a lot of things going on behind the scenes, is something else I can say. So how much of it was him? How much of it was Bill's input? That's a question. And then lastly here, my boy Patriots 92 coming in with a $5 donation says, this Sunday, Caleb, Jaden, and even Bo Nix had good games. Today, it's time to play Maye. So for me, I think that time is definitely coming. I think with trying to see what they had with Onwenu over at right guard, to me, that tells me that they want to start Drake Maye and they're getting close. They're getting aggressive with trying to figure out new offensive line combinations. Where is Onwenu best and not just plugging holes? Next week, we might even see a new combination where we see City So back at right guard and Michael Onwenu back out to right tackle. And this is the team trying to figure out what their best offensive line combination is to find the most success before they start Drake Maye. And that's what they need to do. They need to figure out what the best O-line combination is. I know we want to win, but at the end of the day, if you want to see Drake Maye, you have to know what that best O-line combination is to give him the best chance at protecting him, keeping him safe, and not speeding up that internal clock.
Are we really doing this again? Like continuity, brother. We are, dude. Okay, so if we're gonna keep playing this whole game, then that just keeps, for me, if we keep playing with the whole mixing around the musical chairs, then that for me pushes it further down the line that Drake Maye starts. I don't disagree with what you're saying, even though I almost just lost my mind a second ago. But figure it out first and then put him out there.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. Because the last thing you want is,
I almost just lost my mind. Because
the last thing you want to do is try to figure it out while Drake Maye is in there. That's not what you do. You figure it out now while kind of your test subject, Jacoby Brissett, is behind center. And then when you're able to go back and look at which was the best O-line, then you can say, we're starting Drake Maye. Here's our best O-line. Here's our backup plan.
2.71 seconds.
So, I mean, even looking real quick, I'm trying to think what the best time might be to start. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying it might be
the Titans.
Honestly, they have a good defense, but yeah, it's probably the Titans or the Bears. That's probably the best time you're going to start them.
The Bears are a pretty good defense.
Yeah, but dude, the Titans are top 3.
I don't know, man. It's tricky because the Jaguars just happens to be overseas. So do you want him to be over there, or do you want it to probably be a home game? And what the blue is home? No, blue is away.
Blue's away. Yeah, Blue's away.
Crap. You don't want him against the Jets. Do you want him against LA? You want him his first game to be away? I don't know about that. I would probably November 17th is where I'm kind of circling.
November 17th
It's a home game.
December 1st, maybe. December 1st could always be an option for them too, just looking at it and saying.
It's got to be either one of those, man.
Saying, okay, it's a home game, and then they can go into the bye week and they can have film on him and say, this is what we're going to switch up, and have a little bit of extra time to prepare and say, okay, you have a little bit of film. Let's break it down. Now you have 2 weeks to prepare for the Cardinals to get him ready for that. That's a real opportunity. I mean, December 1st, a home game against the Colts, not a great team. That could be when they decide that they want to throw him out there.
If I'm gonna be honest, if it's got to be different December 1st, and if it's not December 1st at the latest, then G's not coming out there. Period. So I'm not putting him against the Bills.
Yeah. But guys, that is going to end it for today's video. We really, really appreciate you guys for watching. Long stream today, but there was a lot to rant about. There was a lot to talk about when a game like that kind of happens. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see you guys next week against the Houston Texans. We will be here all season long. Win or lose, I go live during watch parties. If you want to see my live reactions to each plays, if you're out on the road and can't watch the game and you want to know what's going on, make sure you tune here at Patriots Global on YouTube live during the Patriots games to come and join me, share your thoughts and share your opinions on the game. It's really fun having Patriots Nation come together and kind of just interact and have fun together and be in the chat. So appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys like the video on your way out. Of course, also, see where it is. Make sure you guys do follow Rob on Insta. That is where he does all of his work. Posts during the game. He does live streams consistently, post statistics, highlights, all of that good stuff, his thoughts, opinions. So if you want more Patriots related content that you won't find here on YouTube, follow Rob right there on Instagram. That is his handle right there. So appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure, again, as you guys go ahead, you check out BetUS. When you sign up, use the promo code YouTube150. That is YouTube150 for a 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit, followed by $125 on your next two, all the way up to $2,000. Again, when you sign up and use the promo code YouTube150. Appreciate you guys for watching. Appreciate you guys for supporting BetUS. Really helps support me here at Patriots Global. But without further ado, I will see you guys later this week with some more content. And then, of course, me and Rob will see you next Sunday after the game against Houston. Of course, though, guys, just remember, go Pats.